I got some beers. Let's drink them, huh?
If you really want some film at 11, why don't you follow me down to the brewery? I'll tie a bowling ball to my ankle, dive in the vat of beer. I'll leave this world the same way I entered my marriage, dead drunk!
Hello?
Want a beer?
Hook it up!
Hey, hook me up!
Y'all heard, take it from the top. 1, 2.
Beer?
This is how we do it.
My mic sound nice, check 1. My mic sound nice, check 2. My mic sound nice, check 3.
Are you ready?
That's cute. I remember when I had my first beer.
You like parties? Yeah. We can invite all our friends and have soda and pie.
Yeah!
I hope no bad people show up.
My mic sounds nice, check 1. My mic sounds nice, check 2. My mic sounds nice, check 3. My mic sounds nice, check 4. My mic sounds nice, check 5. My mic sounds nice, check 6.
Are you ready?
You want some of this milk?
I'd rather have a beer.
What do you guys give me if I kill that bird? Barbara, that's a bald eagle. Get away, Baldy! Yeah!
Hey, what up? What up and what up? This is The Wort with Mike, Pete, and Steve. GovsRadio.com. We are live tonight on Facebook, on YouTube, and actually we are streaming also on our Instagram live feed tonight for a little while until my battery dies. So we're going to try that out for a little bit. Figured feed some good quality radio audio up into the Instagram live. So join us over there as well and chat with me and chat over on Facebook as well with all our fellow watchers. Tonight, we have a very special guest, but before we get to that, we have some sponsors we need to shout out because this year has been a big year, and we really want to thank everybody properly. I'm going to start with our boy, Scott Quick over at Brewbag. Go to brewbag.com for your beer pong, cornhole, yard game, awesome fucking thing. Let me just tell you how cool this thing is. It is set up like beer pong, and you throw bean bags, and you drink the shit out of them. Done. I mean, sold. Great holiday gift. Great holiday gift. Yes, Steve sold. We also have a few people that I've turned on to it, and they purchased them right there in front of me. Listen, you know, I'm a hard salesman. You know, they're like, Brewbag. I'm like, here, go to this website, send it to it, and I made them purchase right there. And an $80 gift is not that bad for a good Christmas gift, or a holiday gift, I'm sorry, for anyone out there. So go to brewbag.com. I would use our link in our Instagram bio, and go to Linktree and go to Brewbag. Also, in the promo code, put Wort, W-O-R-T, just because it then says that we sent you there. That's all. And I like the fact that Scott has done a great job over the last few years, and this year has been a really active sponsor, retweeting, reposting, redoing everything. So good friend of the show. Appreciate him and his company, Brewbag. Veteran-owned, veteran-employed. Thank you very much for all your work and everything that you do, Scott. Steve, take it away.
We got Rosie's Draft Solutions. I have to say, too, Rosie's, I've been noticing more and more accounts have been popping up. A lot of places have been posting they're using Rosie's. Rosie's Draft Solution provides professional draft beer system services, line cleanings, and more for your establishment, so customers can enjoy the best quality beverages. They service bars, restaurants, halls, events, homes, and all other beverage establishments across Long Island and Westchester. If you mention the Wort, you will get a discount.
Oh, boy. What is the discount?
You know, he might say hi to you, or
and you get a high five.
He might give you my autograph.
No, Steve, 10% off their order, whether it be service or hardware. Tell them the Wort with Mike, Pete, and Steve sent you, and you will receive a percentage off your order. Rosie'sDraftSolutions.com. Make it happen. Get your pipes clean today. Peter, would you like to talk a little bit about VintageBeerShirtClub.com?
VintageBeerShirt.com.
Nope.
You need a gift idea for the beer lover? Go to vintagebeershirt.com. You can sign them up for subscription.
VintageBeerShirtClub.com.
VintageBeerShirtClub.com.
It's a mouthful.
It is. I'm struggling. There's also brewershardware.com for all your large homebrew needs or your small professional brewer needs. You need the tri-clamp for Prez. You need the those hoses. You need some supplies. brewershardware.com. They've been another really good sponsor throughout the past couple years.
Yeah, actually 2.5 years now. Thanks to Brewers Hardware, sent us out some shirts, some mugs, and then, of course, gifts for our brewers, for people that are on the show. Unfortunately, Paul from Decadent Nails, we ran out of gift cards. But when we get something new, we'll send it up your way when we make the trip up there.
No worries, anytime.
Andrew does a great job out at Brewers Hardware. And, like Pete said, for the small capacity or large needs, they get the job done. So go to brewershardware.com, promo code WORT, Wort. Also with vintagebeerclubshirt.com, promo code WORT, Wort. I'm sure you said that, Pete. Also, runners-up, we'll say Tavor, thanks for everything you did this year. And of course, taphandles.com for the tap handle adapters that went out throughout the last few years. The one that I still see standing every single time I'm there, Hopscotch.
Hopscotch,
Every single
Hopscotch.
day I walk in there, there's the tap handle. A lot of other people had it out for a while, and then they've either switched drafts or forgot to put it out, and that's not a big deal. But really, Hopscotch is one of the people I really want to thank here at the top of the show for being a huge proponent of our show and the craft beer scene in New York in general. Does a great job on getting beer from all over the state, brought down here to Long Island so people can enjoy fair prices, great food, and, of course, great atmosphere. See Mark over at Hopscotch. Please go see him. He's on Long Island Avenue in Deer Park, so just look up Hopscotch, and you'll find your little thing there. I want to give a bunch of shout-outs to people that have really helped us out over this past year. Really quick, Jeff from Sadden Brothers saying hello. Remember Jeff? Jeff? Yes. Look, Jeff, I still have been sipping on your Ocean Hill brandy, and he's been making some headway.
Yeah.
Jeff says,
I like that it's numbered. I still like that.
It's hand labeled and numbered, so thanks, Jeff. We want to give a bunch of heads up and highs to podcasts such as the BBB podcast, who has again been huge fans of the show, and I like the I guess the admiration of podcast to podcast. I've always enjoyed other podcasts, hearing someone other than myself speaking. So it's fun to see other podcasts do well. And then, we've been on other podcasts, so there's nothing wrong with that. It's all in the same industry. It's like the beer industry, right? Everyone gives each other love in some way, shape, or form, turns each other's audiences on to them. Shout out to Basic Beer Girl Review, who were on our show a few months ago. Did a great job. They've been liking, posting, saying everything. Hudson River Brewery's checking in, saying, "What's up, boys? What's up going on, man?" We want to get Hudson River on. I wanted to reach out to them a few weeks ago, but I forgot, and we're lining up stuff for February, March, and April, so that's going to be on our list. We want to also thank Wort Wrangler. Wow. I mean, we didn't see his face, so that was all to be, I guess, determined, right? I guess it was all to be in the eye of the beholder what the Wort Wrangler actually looks like, but we had him on the show. Some of the funniest memes in the beer industry you could possibly read and post, and man, it's just one of the funniest things we've ever seen that he produces and puts out there, and we thank him for being on the show and exposure for our show. So many guests along the way, all the breweries, over this last year.
90-second beer review?
Oh, well, I'm going to get to that. Yeah, I'll get to them.
All right.
But, I mean, just so many people that have been, willing to come on and spend their time, like Paul tonight, to talk with us and us hear about the brewery, but more along the lines just for us to get to know everybody and hang out and have a good time and really, gain a lot of education. Pete, over the last 3 years, I don't want to say we fully caught up to Steve and his education, but for what we've done over the last few years, we really learned a lot, and we're gracious actually to have Steve on the show, who has been a true professional in the industry and coming on to the show in the pandemic in a time where we were stressed out of not being in the studio and not having our normal flow. And Steve came in and really helped us out, and he's not going away, folks. He's here to stay. So that's why we changed our logo, changed our name and everything.
Oh, by the way, guys, this is my last show.
Oh, you son of a bitch. you done did it, didn't you?
Done did it.
We want to thank, all the breweries that in the pandemic have again made the time to call into the Zoom. I can go back to Alewife and Lost Worlds and just so many. Go back into our Instagram and look at all our flyers. Blind Bat most recently. Our friends from Ghost, Paul, and of course Scott from Long Island. And I was out of Long Island a few weeks ago and hung out with Greg and talked to him about a bunch of stuff. Some of the
Joe from WA Meadworks.
Of course, I was getting to the Hopsters debacle, but in the end,
it's appropriate that you're wearing his favorite hat. So
I am. I didn't change it tonight. I haven't worn it in a while, and there it is.
You will be very happy that you're wearing it.
It's at an angle, but then I also have the GSB, so I represent a little more of the hometown people. Chris from Dubco, of course, coming on and hanging out with us, and there's just so many other people that I would love to sit here and spend 15 to 20 hours, thanking and appreciating. But we do have some big stuff coming up in the new year, and that's where the 90-second beer review comes in. They're organizing this huge New York State Valentine's Day Festival that we're going to be part of. So everyone be on the lookout. Go to the 90-second beer review on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and wait to see where our spot is. We're going to be highlighting one of the stages, and we're going to be doing some sort of program that will kind of intersect with all the breweries that are doing their thing and other programs that are doing their educational reviews, and we're going to be in there doing some fun dick jokes, I hope. So we'll have a great time with that, and it's, again, some great breweries in New York and lots of stuff to be had in this new year. Lots of guests that we have lined up. A lot of new breweries opening up here on Long Island and beyond. So lots of people that as fast as we can go through them, they're opening up. As soon as we finish our list for the year, we realize there's a much bigger list out there. And one of those that we've had our eye on is Paul from Decadent Nails. Paul, what's going on, man? How you been?
Hey, how are you? Thanks for having me.
No, man. Thank you very much for everything. We really, like I said, I had stopped at the brewery in one of the pandemic road trips I took upstate, and I said, I got to go there. I've had some of the beers before, but you had a great lineup that weekend, and I wanted to grab some cans. And, I'm into the big stouts, so we'll get into that in a few minutes. But the idea of what you're doing really interests me because what I just tasted is not the norm. So we really got to start digging deep here and how this all gets going. But again, thank you very much for being on. And basically, you're the season finale. So we don't expect too much, but you better fucking perform. So.
Who knows? Depending on how this goes, it could be the series finale. You never know.
Oh, stop it.
Wow.
Stop. No. Come on. We already had our potential series finale, and we avoided that very well. We did very well. And what a year this has been. If it wasn't for the pandemic, what other things can we get ourselves into?
Cannot get worse.
Well,
2020,
it's almost over.
There's only a few weeks left. Could have a few surprises left. You never know.
Please.
Last game of the season.
2021 is sitting in the background with a beer going, what?
Stretching.
Hold my beer. Watch this.
Yeah. Watch me fuck some shit up. You ain't got nothing on me.
I think 2020 was bad.
Well, I hope that's not the case because we have a lot of work to do. We have studio that is opened up, started today, a brand new edited version of our previous studio. So we're going to be able to go in there in a few short months. I think we'll stick with Zoom for a little bit. And then, of course, all the guests and the festivals and stuff that we've kind of not been promised. But, one of the big things that we were talking about for months, even during the pandemic, is doing some bigger live shows. And one of those is definitely in the background at Blue Point, which is a very large brewery. I don't know if anybody knows about Blue Point here on Long Island. But they agreed to have us and host us, and we're going to be doing some a live show there. And then we want to get on the road. We want to go upstate, want to visit Paul, want to hang out with other people that we've had on the way. Yeah, of course. We had Five Boroughs on the show. We've had Artisanal on the show. We had why can't I think of the other one? Not Five Boroughs, but the other one, not 6 Point. Why can't I think of it?
Single cut.
Thank you.
Non sequitur
on the show. He's going through the list. But these are, we want to get on the road and go into Brooklyn and Queens. We want to get upstate.
Good job, Peter.
Thank you very much because, mentally I'm drained after a full day. But yeah, this is, again, thank you very much for everyone that has been out there with us and hung with us. And we anticipate some great things coming. So thank you very much. Paul, let's get to you, man. I sorry for such a long intro, but we needed to kill 15 minutes, and I did that. So.
No, it was great to listen to everything that you had to say.
Oh, shebang.
Hey, Hudson River Brewery says hashtag hold my beer. Paul, head brewer of Decadent Nails?
Yes.
Paul, so
Make the beer.
yeah, fucking A, I like the beer. I want to go back again to the origin. That's where we start usually with our show. We get a little bit of an origin story. So tell us kind of where this all started, how you got set up from. You had an older place and now the new place that's just much bigger and larger and awesome. Give us a little background. Give us the little history. Bring us up to date.
Well, it was really, home brewing, how most of people have been starting. I have home brewed for about 10, 15 years.
Wow.
And had, actually started with my uncle and my cousin.
Okay.
And we had tried to figure out a way to at least kind of get started in Westchester County, which is not cheap and not easy. So we set up a 1-barrel Blickman system. We actually still have it here. This is our.
We get a tour. Look, we get movement.
There we go.
Right there.
Yeah.
Pilot batch system.
Oh yeah.
A little pilot batch system. Can you see right here? And we still do the test batches on there. And we found a chocolate shop, a basement in the chocolate shop, which is where we started brewing 1-barrel batches. And the concept was, if we can get a license just to make 6 sixtels and send them out to bars and see what people think, that's one way to start. So I'd walk around with like little homebrew kegs. You guys ever keg into homebrew kegs when you're homebrewing?
Oh yeah, about that. About putting beer into kegs.
No, don't go there.
All right. Well, Paul, I'll say this: when I did homebrew for a few years, I would ferment in the keg.
Oh.
I would pull out the stem and pour the batch in there. Not the best way of doing it, but I was able to release with a little thing every like day or so. I go down and release a little bit.
Pressure?
What's that?
I guess you could take that out and put an S-lock in there.
Yeah, I put the regular keg in there and I just released the little pin to let the air out.
And that's why your beer sucked.
It wasn't terrible. The Irish Stout I did was drinkable. I'll put it that way. And by my standards, drinkable. Maybe not by your standards.
Well, we've already gone through that.
Yeah, no, come on. Deep down, I just didn't want to lose the money. That's all it was. Yeah.
That's it. You gotta make do with what you got, right?
Exactly. I mean, it was fun, and that was the experience. I did bottle a couple of batches, were much better, by the way. But I figured if I was going to end up putting it on tap anyway, because I have a draft system here at my house, I was just going to ferment in the keg. And when I finally got to the point where I had the forced carbonation from the keg and everything else, I was ready to drink. And that first batch was pretty fun. But I'm sure you had a much better time with it than I did, as I'm brewing in the Mr. Beery or the Brooklyn Beer Shop.
Oh, no. Those homebrewing days I still have marks on the ceiling in my basement that my wife still talks about when a stout exploded.
Oh, yeah.
Those, it's going to, that's,
Those
I'm
are
surprised I haven't had it recently, but.
The marks that you remember. So you were homebrewing for quite some time. Yes. I mean, quite some time. Were you part of a homebrew club up in Westchester area?
There was a couple of homebrew clubs that just kind of we circulated around. There was a local homebrew shop that the head of the club owned.
Oh, okay.
Which was great in getting grains in New Rochelle, the Homebrew Emporium, which unfortunately is now closed.
Oh.
But that's where we started. That was the and then again I linked up with my uncle and my cousin who are also homebrewing. I said I had this idea. Let's just try it. Mm-hmm. Cheapest way to try it. The greatest way I thought we could start is to get a 1-barrel system. Find a hole-in-the-wall place, and the 1 barrel is 6 sixtels. Let's send out the sixtels and see if it has legs.
Yeah.
And
Do you remember that first batch you brewed? What was it?
It was an IPA. Back then, it was unadjuncted. It was IPA, double IPA.
I was going to ask, I wanted to ask you that because I noticed through your portfolio, you started out that way. You did a lot of doubles and double dry hop and just traditional, or not traditional, but just straight up no adjunct IPAs. And then all of a sudden, little by little, you see a change. And then all of a sudden it's what you guys are doing now.
It's a funny story. I don't know if you have the time.
All the time in the world, Paul.
Yes.
All of the time.
I
got plenty of beer.
From that area where we had a 1-barrel system, I was looking to contract. How do you take the next step? Did not have the money for this facility, and thank our friends and partners at Halftime that helped invest in this to start this whole thing.
Cool.
But in the interim, I had a call. I used to live in Manhattan and went to tourist a lot when it opened. One of my favorite places. Happened to know the bartenders, things like that. And so in sending out these little 1-barrel batches, I would drive them to Tourist, and they would put our beers on tap. One of the owners of Tourist called me, and he said, he asked if I had any interest in brewing at some of their partner contract facilities. I didn't know they were affiliated with Evil Twin and Omni Polo and all these brewers. So I didn't have a facility, right? I had a little 1-barrel. I said, why don't you come to my house and I can sample you on what I'm making? And I sampled on some IPAs. I was playing around with making marshmallow on my stove. So I literally had marshmallow chilling upstairs. I said, let me just pour this into the IPA. And I ran it downstairs. I said, Alex, he was like, so why don't you try this? And he's like, this is something I've never tried before. I will mass produce this for you. And that's how the whole pastry thing kind of started. And so he goes, can Yepa come tomorrow and taste the beers that you sampled for me? So the next day, Yepa comes, who I just had known and was a big fan of, to my house with a camera crew.
Yeah.
About here's this little guy that's kind of homebrewing and in a little shop, and he's taking me to his house to try all these different things. And we sat there. I poured out 13 different concoctions of beers. It was a toasted marshmallow. It was a French toast. And then that's how that relationship started. And then went off to contract up in Connecticut.
And going back with that marshmallow you were starting with, were you using actual marshmallow or were you using like an extract or a powder?
No. I was up in the kitchen when he came by. I was making marshmallow up on my stove. I would boil it to kill the bacteria, flash chill it. And that was my experiment. What happens if you just pour that into an IPA base? And you get the marshmallow aroma. And we still do that. And we have an actual kitchen here. We'll just boil it up. We'll chill it real quick. Now what we will do for mass production is there is a lot of vanilla that goes into it. So we'll use some vanilla extract, which just vanilla beans are tough to find, but really you just don't solidify the marshmallow, right? If you solidify it, it's going to go in the boil and burn up, or what are you going to do with it? So you just leave it in its chilled, unformed state. And you heat it to kill off the bacteria and flash chill it like you would a beer.
We used to use fluff. Anything we did marshmallow, we used fluff because there was no gelatin in it.
Right. Some people do that.
And so when you're cooking it yourself, you don't have to use the gelatin, I guess, right? You're just basically using the other ingredients and then getting that flavor aroma out of that.
Well, at that time, I used gelatin because that's what's in a marshmallow recipe. I didn't know at the time. But it's just, that's just how it came together. It was funny. I was literally just upstairs, running downstairs into my basement that I made a little bar. And he was sitting there pouring beers. I said, let me pour the marshmallow in the beer and see. Say, I want something different. and then that's how it happened. Then with the contract, it started to go out to California. And they're like, well, people want other flavors. Can you think of other flavors? And that's how, to what Scott was saying, in the beginning, we just wanted IPAs, double IPAs, and then I really started to get into playing with those flavors and figuring out how to really create them and put them in the beer and make sure the beer tastes like it. And I think when you get to did you get the tiramisu?
I have that, yes.
Yeah.
I'd love you guys to try that because that's an interesting.
I started with the peanut butter s'mores just because I like an IPA, but then I see the peanut butter, cinnamon, vanilla, chocolate, and that just caught my eye. And the first sip was like, holy, what is going on here? We got to get really deep into how you're coming up with these crazy adjuncts with these regular...
Yeah, this is not usually what you see in an IPA.
No,
I mean, that's... usually like stout adjuncts.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, where did the inspiration for a lot of these come from? Because you mentioned tiramisu, but you also said before the French toast, which was one of the first ones I've had from you, and that was French toast in a glass. And how do you get to that point? Like, you just have this idea, but is it experimentation on the pilot system? Is it bringing up to scale a difficult process? Like what's that whole kind of idea come to fruition moment look like?
It's trial and error, and it becomes a sick obsession. I mean, to me, it's like cooking. It's like baking, right? It's like, how do you recreate the aroma? And for French toast, I understand a lot of people say, well, why don't you put it in a stout? We do have a French toast stout. And my answer to that is because the stout's chocolatey, a stout is so malty, the batter of the French toast, there's a lot of flavors that come through better on a lighter base.
Okay.
And so if you let the French toast warm up and you sip it, you'll get a hit of maple syrup in the front, and you should get that batter kind of dripping down your throat, which is caramelized sugar that I do on the stove. That should be something that is tougher to capture in a stout when there's so much other competing dark and rich flavors going on. So I would partially agree in that sometimes I just like those flavors in a stout too, but I think it's fun and unique to do it in a base where just let the adjunct shine.
Right.
Yeah, we used to do a white chocolate coffee cream ale, and you are so correct. You get all those flavors. The beer is the vessel, but now you have all these flavors that are going to carry it through.
Yeah, and
definitely.
that peanut butter s'mores is it should, as you open the can, you should just get the nut kind of right in the nose as it warms up. You should probably get that peanut butter as peanut butter powder. And again, if you do that in a stout, you got to use a lot of peanut butter, but peanut butter in a stout's actually pretty good, but the marshmallow might not come through as well.
Yep.
And for a lot of the peanut butter flavors, are you going peanut butter powder, or are you going just straight up peanut butter?
This is powder.
Yeah. I mean, most brewers would say that would be the way to go. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Peanut butter powder. I've tried it all. I've tried all forms. I've tried on the One Batch Systems extracts, which taste chemically. I've tried actual peanut butter, which just sinks to the bottom. The powder is the way to go. There's marshmallow in there. Might be tough to detect with all the competing flavors. Actually, this batch, the can batch, I think the marshmallow does come through nice. Little hint of chocolate. I don't like chocolate, believe it or not, in IPAs, but to call it s'mores, I had to check that box. A little hint of that, and then just some cinnamon to give you the impression that there's graham cracker in there.
Ah, okay. So that was a graham cracker for you. Okay. I'm going to crack that open in just a moment. Going back, though, I know you guys, like Steve was saying before, the there you go. Nice and dark.
That is dark, yeah.
Rich. By the way, Paul, this is a perfect lead into Christmas time where we're eating tremendous amounts of chocolates and sweets and cakes. And I know I am. I'm eating the
rabbits.
Whoa. I'm not eating rabbit with it.
No? Okay.
Yeah, sure. No.
Hot and pepper.
Yeah.
Right.
But I mean, no, but I'm serious. I'm hitting up, like the mint chocolate chip cookies. So the caramel cookie that Steve has that I've had before, goes very well, pairs very well with a lot of the desserts. We can call these some of these stouts the dessert, pastry stouts. But the IPAs are really what caught my eye. So early on, you guys were releasing like standard IPAs and double IPAs. Are you still doing that today?
Yeah, we are. We actually just have in the tanks a Rawaka dry hopped IPA.
Cool.
That we're canning on Friday. So we do. A lot of them, don't make it past the tasting room. And a lot of it is, to be honest, I guess, like you have a peanut butter s'mores beer, which is more unique. It's more attractive to a market like California than, okay, here's another dry hopped IPA. So that's what's happening.
I mean, you keep mentioning California and sending out there. So you have contracts, you have distribution out there. I'm sure that the California brewery scene doesn't focus on those types of beers. So you become the supplemental element out there. How popular are the beers out in California? You getting feedback from the distributors and stuff?
I'm getting good feedback from them. I can't tell how popular. I don't only mention California because it's as far as we go, as far as you can go in the U.S. So just an example. But where we send stuff out there, we send stuff out to Illinois, Florida, what are other, North Carolina, South Carolina, Boston, and doing a lot of international stuff as well.
What international markets?
Singapore, Japan, China.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah, and they popped up in Europe pre-pandemic, not recently. So
that's cool.
Yeah.
Tubby Glassware from Instagram is saying, "Ooh, s'mores." I haven't tried that before, so he's.
I'm just realizing I got the s'more shirt on.
There you go.
There you go.
Two together.
And it's nice. That's a nice hoodie. I like that. There you go. Look at him go. You get the full view. Get the riser.
Yeah, just show that off.
What a move. Show off the hardware.
The hardware.
Hardware. Sorry,
cut you off.
Hopsters. No, it's all right. I just said, I always just kind of cite in with people that are talking online, and Obscura Oscillation up on the brewery tour that I did back in January sometime. I stopped at Obscura Oscillation up in I forget, it's right outside of Syracuse, just south of Syracuse, and they're checking in, saying what's up. There's another one that I know I've talked to before in the last year or so that they're on our radar, so we'll reach out to them and get some beers down here and work with them. They got some crazy stuff going on themselves. What distributor are you working with, Paul? Is it something local, or is it something more like a national kind of element to it?
We distribute in Westchester and up the Hudson Valley through Craft Beer Guild. That's the Sheehan group.
Mm-hmm.
And then everywhere else is through 12%. So 12%.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
No,
we've had a couple, we
had Timber Ales on, and we had
Marlowe, Timber Ales, Marlowe, and
exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, we had them on the show this year. Another great show that we had during the pandemic. It's just great. As we keep citing people, we're like, oh yeah, we had them on this.
Yeah. Yeah, we're making beer with them up in that facility.
Are you contracting out of there
for
additional stuff? Yeah. Are they handling most of your canning then, I would assume, right?
No, what you have is from our facility.
Okay, cool.
We try to, and they're so overwhelmed with, Marlowe Timber. They got like 15 brands.
Mm-hmm.
So
Abomination, Fat Orange Cat, Nightmare.
All great stuff. So we're lucky to get a couple in a month. But we're doing some sours up there, things that we just can't do out of our facility.
Cool.
Nice way to complement that. But yeah, we're just trying to do what we can.
And now over this last year, I mean, like we mentioned at the top of the show, how hard it was for things to continue on as best they can. How did you weather through the start of the pandemic, and how's it going now?
So we were because our tasting room opened not long before the pandemic, maybe a few months before, maybe a year. And we had finally gotten into full production mode in this facility. And everything happened. Our tanks are completely full. And we got a call from the distributors, people are canceling order, everything's stopping. We're not, you gotta just hold off on production.
Wow.
Only lucky thing about that is our tanks are filled with stouts because it was the middle of the winter. So I was like, oh, okay. So we got some IPAs we'll just sell through the tasting room. So we're like, all right, let's just sit on everything, let it age. It'll just get better. And then, we kind of gave ourselves like a 2-3 week shutdown, isolate everybody, see what's going on, and then slowly reopened. And actually only about a month ago do we finally get back into full production.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to say I was there June, July sometime in one of our trips, and we got there right as it opened. And, it was a beautiful day. You had the outside set up. Tell us a little bit about the warehouse. Tell us a little bit about the establishment. I know you mentioned that you're sharing a space with one of the partners, so give us a little background about the location and everything what's going on there.
So Halftime, which is one of the largest retailers of craft beer here, has this whole building, and they separated it and sublet it.
Oh, cool.
They were going to sublet it to somebody, and then we kind of got involved, and they invested in it, which is great. And so this is a 15-barrel system. It's about a 5,000 square foot facility. Is most of this audio? If I give a visual tour?
No. We have.
Yeah, we are on YouTube, Facebook Live.
Yep, all the videos there. Yeah, that's why I said it was very interesting that not everybody walks us through with their phone showing the tour. Nice.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, let's do it.
Here, we'll do. I'll try to do both. So so this is a 15-barrel 2-vessel system, which is real simple. It's a kettle, which you're going to brew into tomorrow. Mash tun. hot liquor tank,
There you go.
and then little simple control panel, real basic. You know, a lot of people have bells and whistles and touch screens, and I've learned from working with a lot of contract facilities, if something's burning up or if you're getting a boil over, Scott, you probably know about a boil over, you don't want to be running menu, back. You just want to hit stop. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I've learned you want 3 buttons and that's it when you're operating a brew house.
Paul, it's Steve. Sorry, I might have. I'm a little drunk, so I probably slurred my words a few times already.
That's very polite of you. I probably messed it
No,
up.
no, I'm dead serious. I've had many beers before we start the show. Every time.
This is our little trial batch.
Oh, look at that! Way to go back to that, and you got an SS in there too. Huh?
Nice.
Oh, these are all SS. This is what we started on. This is it. We got a peanut butter French toast, a peanut butter banana French toast. That we're doing a collab with Hop Culture magazine. So
that's cool.
Yeah, we're gonna mail that out to them to see if they like it, and then we're gonna do a bigger batch up here, and that's going out for some event. And then this
I see ISO guns left and right. I like it.
This is it. So we got 3 30 barrels, we got 3 15s, bright tank, and it's a small facility, but we're doing what we can with the facility. You know?
No, I think you
a lot bigger than it's a lot bigger than a lot of
spaces that we've seen.
We've been at. Yeah.
And your kitchen. So talk a little bit about the kitchen while you're there, because when I was up there, I kind of wanted to order, but we were in a little bit of a rush. So how did the kitchen come about?
Well, real simple. The honest answer is we were forced to serve food with our beer.
Yeah, good point.
I never wanted to do that. I just wanted to make the beer. And so we said, well, what are we going to do? How are we going to? So we found a chef. And Ray, who's our chef, makes has a great menu. His background is mostly fish, and we're kind of near the harbor there, so he's big on oysters, fresh lobster. We got a sirloin burger, and his philosophy is, I just want a truck to come in with fresh meats in the morning. I'd rather sell out than have it frozen.
There you go.
A lot of stuff, but it's fresh. It's kind of relatively priced, relatively well priced.
Yeah.
And that's all I want for a bar, for a brewery, right? It's got to complement the beer. So,
so what is the town who forced you to have a kitchen? Is that by one of the codes up there, or is it?
It was the town. Was it the State Liquor Authority where you had to have 5? You had to have 5 main courses with beer to have a tasting room.
Huh.
I don't remember if it was the New York SLA or if it was the actual town. I think it was.
It's got to be the town.
Yeah, it's got to be the town because we don't have that down here.
Right, okay.
But
almost no one has a kitchen down here.
Yeah.
It was 2 years to get this thing open.
Yep. That sounds par for the course.
When did you originally open, Paul?
I should have known.
Paul, when did you originally open?
This facility?
Yes.
End of 2018.
18, okay. All right.
And
so
you started 16?
2016 is when we started actually sending out in the little underneath the chocolate shop.
Right.
That was 2016.
Okay.
So for 2 years we were kind of gypsying around.
Yeah. It's funny how federal, state will work, and you kind of know where you're at. Townships, you think you're ready to open, and then they hit you with something else, and you think you're ready to open, and then they hit you with something else, and like you said, 2 years down the road, you're like, well, finally getting open, I guess.
Yeah.
It's always the weird shit we hear with, stuff that a brewery has to do around, parking or hours of operation or food or something. It's always the town, that has
or
these
the county.
fucking
I mean, it's
rules.
Westchester County, so maybe it has to do with that because there's not a bunch, but there's a couple other breweries in Westchester County that have that same business model, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and our partners, Jason and Alan, at halftime, you can see nice. They have windows right into their store.
Hey, look at that.
Yeah, they knew how to navigate the town, but even so, I mean, and they were the biggest proponents in pushing for this. But even so, it's just so difficult to to get through all those logistics, all the politics.
Yeah.
Go.
So Halftime is a beer distributor.
They're a retailer. They're just a bottle shop.
Oh, retailer. Right. Okay.
Yes.
According to Hudson River Brewery, no food is needed in Westchester. So Maybe it is just the.
Must be the town.
It was at Marinac, right? Yeah.
It could be. Yeah, it could be the town.
Yeah, it could be the town, and that's interesting. But you kind of have that area to yourself. I'm going to say within maybe 10 to 15 square miles. You don't have any other people there, correct? I remember seeing anything pop up on the map.
No, and to be honest, despite the politics and everything, once we got through, I mean, it's been great. The town's been great, and yeah, not only do we have that area, is we have the ability to be outside given the pandemic, which was huge, as you.
Sure.
So it's been great ever since.
So Hudson River said it had to be the town because they're not under those same guidelines, and then the Dank one on Instagram is saying shout out to Tim at halftime. So there you go.
Yeah, that's right. Tim manages all the shipments.
Yeah,
good guy. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Artisanal, you're correct. We had him on. They're doing great stuff up there as well. I mean, you got probably, if you're traveling from New York to Connecticut or so, that is the one stop. It's 5, maybe 8 minutes off 95 or on the way in through, to Connecticut, and that's what made it just so easy to stop in and say what's up. And it's a great location, great little town. You got the train tracks that are on the opposite side of the street, so you don't have any people across the street from you. And you have that whole parking lot where then you could have you did set up your outdoor area. So that came basically during COVID. You had to pretty much expand and kind of adapt.
Well, June when you came, June 8th, we were not allowed to open inside. So
that's right. Yeah, because everything was through that window.
Everything was through the window.
Yep.
Not anymore, but yeah, outdoor seating, outdoor this and that. And so, we were just in parking spaces, which we would otherwise not be allowed to do.
Yeah.
We always wanted to be outside in the summer. So we asked the town and they said they allowed us to do that, which was great. It really saves us.
I'm sure they sort of also, like with the restaurants in town as well, the only way they're going to be able to operate is outside.
Oh, absolutely. Oh yeah. So they did it for everybody. But they have a sidewalk. We're lucky we have a whole parking lot that we can deal with.
Yeah,
that's cool.
It's fantastic. And you plenty of parking, even after you've taken up those areas and along the fence area there and right before the ramp and all that stuff. Very cool.
That's right.
You guys doing any deliveries?
That's all we did. March, April, May, and we delivered through the states that we were allowed to deliver through UPS, which was New York and Vermont and Pennsylvania. And then we leveraged halftime. We'd send beer to halftime and they could send to 30, which was huge. So not to mention California again, but we were sending beer all the way out to California.
Wow.
Which was great.
It's a good partnership to have, that's really fortunate. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. So, and you showed me that picture of that 12-pack. That was a halftime kind of deal.
Oh, so it was a mixed 12.
It was a mixed 12. Yeah.
Ah, that's pretty cool. It's like a sampling, and that really probably turned people on to certain styles and certain specific beers that you were releasing at the time.
I mean, they get firsthand stuff from a brewery right next door before anyone else gets it.
Yeah.
How did that relationship come about? Was it just something that they were looking to sublease and you found information, I don't want to say on the paper, but online or something, or word of mouth?
No, I was a frequent purchaser of the store. And it was a funny thing. It's one of those things where it's like, you just never know. So the guy that, when we were starting to talk to try to distribute through craft beer guilds, the guy that, his name is Mike, that was kind of wanted us to start to build up our distribution thing. I was texting him about some things and he said, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm busy. I'm in a meeting with halftime." And I've always seen at the other end of their store, they had empty space. And it's almost like one of those things. I texted him and I almost felt ridiculous and embarrassed by texting him. I said, ask if the last 4 rows could maybe be eliminated and be a brewery. And I remember typing out the text and I almost deleted it because I thought this was like I said, let me just, I said, you know what? Screw it. Let me just hit send. And here it is.
You are.
And I hit send and then they had said, and then later on, Mike was like, they're actually thinking this something similar. They'll get back to you.
Huh.
And
here you are.
You never know. I just hit send.
It never hurts to ask. I mean, you might feel silly, but it never hurts to ask. Magic things have come from me just asking. And then whatever it is, I'm acceptable of all the answers. But
and here I am.
And here Steve is.
No, I mean, it's one of those things where I'm like, typical me would have deleted that message. And I say, you know what? Whatever I was on, I said, let me just hit send.
He probably had a few beers in him and said,
can't hurt.
What the heck?
I don't know.
I mean, at that point, you were in the chocolate shop. Is that where a lot of the inspiration for some of the chocolate-flavored stouts and pastry stouts came from? Is that where it kind of originated?
A few. Maple bacon. We did a maple bacon stout that came from, I went up and looked at all the truffles. It's a shop called Chocolations. Oh, there rows and rows of truffles, all handmade. What else gave me? I did, you mentioned, I did like a peppermint chocolate stout. What else did I do?
I feel like I've seen that. I don't think I've had that before, but I've definitely seen that on the shelf somewhere.
Well, do we do it? Yeah, we did.
I feel like you did. It was like a mint green can.
Mint chocolate. Yep.
I feel like I've seen it.
So yeah, I mean, listen, I take inspiration from everywhere. I'll walk around now just to run with it. I'll walk around pastry shops just to figure out what's something, whatever I like to eat. I want to see, how do you drink that?
Yep. We had done a beer called the Salt and Fudgery, and I was at a restaurant, and we had this chocolate fudge salted caramel concoction, and I was like, I got to figure a way to brew this because this is phenomenal. We did. We wound up winning a World Beer Cup for that brew. But yeah, you never know where your inspiration comes from. But the best part about it is trying to replicate that in a liquid form.
Yeah.
And when you get it right, man, it feels really good.
Yeah, I know. I mean, that's, you asked the question before about why, IPA versus stout. And I think one way to look at it is an IPA or a stout base could just be like a blank canvas, right? And then it's just like, how do you implement flavors with that beyond just malts and hops and yeast and be a little different?
Like a mad scientist sitting there. How can we put this all together? What are Paul? What are some of the things while you were homebrewing? What are some of the other people in the homebrewing clubs that ended up having breweries? Did you remember any of the guys that ended up spawning off and starting their own thing?
Yep, Chris Sheldon has a cider and brewery called Diner Brew Co. down in Rochelle. They make great stuff. They make great cider and beer. They had a Brett IPA. Remember that craze? I wonder what happened to that. But they had one that was in a white wine barrel.
I love the Brett IPA style.
Harborhead had one that was great.
Yeah.
Harborhead had one that was awesome. Loved it.
Yeah.
If it's done right, it could be fun and effervescent. Somebody told me that they had a Pilsner that was brewed with a champagne.
Really?
That was interesting.
That doesn't seem all that far off. That seems like something that probably should be done.
I was just told by, I think it was one of the canners. I think it was Ironheart, one of the guys at Ironheart. But who else? That's all I know from that club. Although the guys that started LIC were in that club before me.
Oh, really? Okay.
And I don't know them so well. Dan and I don't know who else. Matt, is it? But when I came in to those clubs, they're like, because I had moved up from Manhattan. I lived in Manhattan for quite a while. And they're like, oh, yeah, the guy, so-and-so and so-and-so started LIC Brew Project. And back then, they were just all barrel, this old barrel program. And then it evolved to do IPAs. But
so let me ask you, and I ask every brewer that comes on this question, get to it a little earlier today.
Oh, a little earlier.
Well, yeah, it's usually the end of the show, but I'm interested to, since what he's doing now.
Yeah.
Paul, what was like your first craft beer that you had? You said, wow, this is awesome. This is craft beer. Like what turned you on to the craft beer scene? 2, what's your favorite style? And third, but not least, what is your go-to now that you don't brew?
Okay. So the first one, and I think we talked about this a little bit before, I remember waiting around for Christmas season for the box and the Doppelbox. malty, supposed to have a little bit of a whiskey and scotch kind of aromas to them. Those are the beers that kind of got me obsessed. And that was back in the 90s when there was nowhere else to go.
Yeah.
To the next level, I think the beer that really kind of got me thinking was, remember Keegan Ales?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, of course.
Mother's Milk?
Mother's Milk, bro. Yeah.
That stout was the first stout that I had that was not a Guinness.
Huh.
Yep.
It was different. And then and then the next one that I had that was kind of a little bit more ubiquitous was the Left Hand Milk Stout.
Okay.
I was just about to interject and say Left Hand Milk Stout was one of the first,
And I remember looking for that and trying to find a place in Manhattan. Where can we go to find that? Because it was tough to find. And then over time, if you start to see like Imperial Stout on the shelves, that was a rarity.
Yeah.
I had to go look everywhere for an Imperial Stout.
Dan at Artisanal. Dan at Artisanal is giving a quick shout out to Ironheart. Obviously, Artisanal does a lot of canning, and so they probably have Ironheart up there. Jamesport Farm Brewery, is checking in saying what's up, and then Dan also says freaking Mother's Milk and just a lot of K's after the milk.
Yeah, man.
Oh, I love it.
You're right. It's one of those things that those two stouts were prior to the old Rasputin too.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Yes.
I remember Tommy Keegan saying, when they opened their brewery, they did not expect to have their flagship be a milk stout. And it just happened that they brewed it. It came out so well, and people were just, like you said, there was nothing else but Guinness. And then you had this decadent, wonderful tasting, New York State beer. It took off for them.
Yeah. It was one of those things that put them on the map because no one really knew Keegan Ales. And then all of a sudden you see the logo associated with that big taste that they had going on in the Mother's Milk.
So what is your favorite style, Paul?
So my favorite style is still a double IPA.
Okay.
Right now I'm drinking our Rawaka.
Cool.
And then you had mentioned a beer, like a go-to beer, and it's a Pilsner Urquell.
Ah, nice.
Yes.
Check pills.
If it's a Sunday afternoon, if it's a Sunday watching the game,
yep,
Pilsner Urquell.
There you go.
Had a few myself yesterday, as well as an entire 6-pack of Dogfish 60 Minute. It was a good day yesterday. That's why I didn't post the picture right away. I forgot about a lot of things. I meant to send Paul. I'm pretty sure I thought I sent Paul the code for the Zoom tonight. I realized looking in my sent mail, I never did. And then I realized when you said that, I had the image on my computer for tonight's show, and I went, oh, that's right, I never did that. I fell asleep way too early last night, way too many beers. But that's it. The Crispy Boys all day in during the football game. A couple wings, some Crispies, a little bit of malty IPA. I'm set to jet.
Who was I talking to yesterday? I think somebody in the tap room. Yeah, I miss. And I wonder if there's going to be a comeback for just the whole West Coast, this crisp, the piney. Now the winter time.
No thanks.
Still kind of piney, malty kind of IPAs. But locally freshly brewed is not so easy to find anymore.
Yeah. The West Coast is not a popular style right now. And
I'm okay with that.
I know. We know, Pete. We know you don't like your West Coasts. I like the dankier, the better. That's what I like. So danky.
A little dank,
Yeah. You know what I enjoy? Toaster pastry from 21st Amendment. That was a real malty. I don't want to say danky, but it was a little sweeter than usual. But that was one of the ones that I wish they would bring back. They were selling them at one point in like 19.5 cans for like the train ride. They were train beers. It was awesome.
I don't remember that beer. I know obviously 21st Amendment, but
I miss going to Philly and going to Monk's Cafe. We didn't get to go this year, and just drinking a Pliny the Elder on tap. And that is just a West Coast beautiful beer.
Why is Monk's gone? You just mean
they actually shut down now. They closed for pandemic, then reopened, and now every so often they'll shut down for a few weeks because it's just too much. It's
too much.
I mean,
dank.
Monk's is such a small little place to begin with. How many people are you going to fit in there and keep the business open?
Dan is checking in and saying dank and skank, and Tubby Glassware is saying stinky stank. Everyone loves the stanky danks. It's just
fair enough.
It's just a barrage of they closed, Dan said. Dan said they're absolutely closed.
Monks, right?
Yeah.
Monks.
Yeah.
That's sad.
Man.
Yeah, man. It's
sad.
It's a staple of national craft beer, in my opinion. People still seek to find that last can remaining on the shelf and post it, or holding onto it in their fridge in the back of it.
I would every year just take a trip to Philly just to go to Monks, just to have pommes frites and pot of mussels and beers that I can't get here on the East Coast.
So I think,
Mussels and fries.
Let's call it next summer when things open back up again. There's going to be so many changes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What's going to be the beer, right? I mean, I think people are going to come back to something, but I don't know if it's going to be New England style IPAs. It's going to be a huge cultural shift.
I think sours are, again, much to my chagrin.
No, but I think
sours are still going to be.
I think they ran their course, to be honest with you.
Oh, God, I hope so. Again.
And I like it. Sour IPAs, sour double IPAs are delicious.
Hopefully, Chris, I want, I hope it's rice lagers.
Ooh.
Really?
Yeah.
The lighter, the better.
Mike, I think you had brought back a few from Jersey.
From Connecticut, Outer Light.
That's right. Oh,
Which
God.
is the other brewery I stopped on my tour when I stopped by Paul's place.
I had gotten done mowing the lawn, opened up a couple of crispy boys you brought back. The rice lager was the fucking balls.
Mm-hmm.
It was.
But would you want to drink that like hanging out?
Yeah,
all day. Yeah, absolutely. That is the new Budweiser that you could just.
I would say a rice lager or a Kolsch would for me be an all-day summer
flavor. I need a little bit more flavor in there.
Well, that's what the wings are for.
Well, yeah, that's true.
But yeah, listen, I can't say we should eliminate IPAs across the board because I still tend to gravitate back to some of my comments.
There are too many business models built on hazy IPAs.
And some of them are really good. Can you imagine what Barrier would do without their hazy IPAs, or Sand City would do without their New England IPAs? It'd be tough.
Treehouse.
Well,
right. Well,
other half. They started.
Right. But
the thing is, there are certain breweries that open up with just doing hazies, but then they do other stuff that is just as good.
Yeah.
That people kind of overlook, and the beer is. I mean, some of the stouts that I've had from other half within the last year are phenomenal. So besides doing a hazy, they do a great stout.
I feel like if you do a good New England, you could probably do good other styles. I mean, if you're a good brewer, you can put the parts of the machine together and create a well-oiled machine.
You hope so.
You were saying you homebrewed for like 10 years more, 15 years. Did you at any time go to like any other breweries and maybe intern a little bit or like pick their brains for some help?
Not as a home brewer. When I started contracting, that's when I got the experience because I didn't just like fold my hands and say, I went in there and shadowed everybody and then ended up kind of basically there's one or two places where I ended up actually working at those places.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So not as a home brewer, but kind of after the fact.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? I many brewers that I did collabs with or whatever, you're working with them and you're hanging out and you're like, oh, well, what is that? Why did you do that? Oh, I do that for this reason. You're like, I never thought of that. You just pick something up.
Yeah. No. Well, there was a lot that I learned to figure out a lot of these other creations from these guys because you never know. Everyone has a different perspective.
Yeah.
One guy I remember from I forgot the name of the brewery, but he brewed coffee for 5 or 6 years.
Oh wow!
So much to the table from the way they extract from coffee versus the way you extract from malts. And
interesting.
He would say you would do this in coffee, but you wouldn't do it in malts. And I said, well, why wouldn't you? And then we tried it and tried to we figured out some different things that way.
That's awesome.
You just never know. You
Yep.
never know. But I will say, you're finding. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. Go ahead.
I'm saying rice lagers actually came up in conversation again with one of the guys at Ironheart, because I've made some beers that he said, these should be rice lagers. So these should be right. You see that with what's that? Hitachino, the Japanese, are those
Yes.
rice? So a little bit of mouthfeel in a lager that would otherwise be more crispy. Although the beer that it was, I think, was a cherry blossom mochi beer. So here I go, taking a traditional style and butchering it.
That sounds interesting, though.
Yeah.
But I would take the pressed oil of the flour and put it in the beer. He's like, this has got to be a rice lager. This has got to be in a rice lager.
Yeah.
So just different styles,
Sure.
Thomas D-Train Santiago, one of the board ops and host of the Sports Mafia on GovsRadio.com, checking in, saying, cheers, boys. But we're going to go ahead and shut down Instagram before it shuts us down, because there's a time limit to how long you can be on
Is someone
live.
showing a nipple?
No.
Oh.
No, okay. It's time limit.
Not yet.
So we'll say goodbye to Instagram. Thanks a lot for everyone checking us out in the entire first hour
Look,
of the
I
show.
scared Paul away.
I think he shut down the lights. He's like, that's it. I had enough.
I'm done.
It was the D-Train part. Thanks, Instagram. Holla. Oh, there we go. So I'm going to share this to Instagram TV. People can check out the entire first hour live on Instagram TV. So pretty cool. First time
How
I
many
did
tabs
that.
you got there, Paul?
20.
I'm like, wow.
Plus 2 kegerators back that way.
Nice.
Oh, nice.
20 wasn't enough. We need 2 more.
No. Yeah, we try to balance, but just coming out of the pandemic, it's now like 13 adjuncted IPAs and like 3 normal IPAs, and then like 5 stouts, and then 1 guest tap, which kicked and now got replaced with now another stout.
You said you were going to brew in one of the kettles tomorrow. What's on the menu for tomorrow?
Well, it's a double IPA. That is going to be the larger version of the Hop Culture trial beer.
Okay.
From Hop Culture magazine. Yep, which is a peanut butter banana. We were gonna make it a full-on Elvis and throw some bacon in there.
God damn it! I was just going to ask if Elvis was going on the fucking can.
The bacon didn't work. The bacon didn't work. So that's why it's great to do that. We did a little with the bacon. We're like, no, that just took it the wrong direction.
Yeah.
Peanut butter bacon sandwiches.
Stop at the peanut butter.
My favorite Elvis impression is still Eddie Murphy.
Oh, interesting.
He does a great one.
Delirious? Yeah.
Yep.
You gotta win this race.
Holy shit, Paul! I want to go through a couple of these beers in our second hour. We usually start breaking these down. I know we kind of touched on it a little bit. Let's start with what I started drinking tonight, and that's the Peanut Butter S'mores. It is a double IPA with peanut butter, cinnamon, vanilla, and chocolate. So I know you again spoke briefly about that. Run us down in the brewing process here without giving away the secrets of the farm here.
So double IPA base, so heavily weeded, oated to make it nice and soft, dry hopped it. Mosaic, Simcoe are the hops that would really kind of soften the profile a little bit. And then we do, I forgot if this was before or after where I talked about making the marshmallow.
Mm-hmm.
So we make the marshmallow stovetop, throw it in there. So as it warms, you get more marshmallow. So one quick thing about these beers, drink them at like 50, 55 degrees. Store them cold because they can explode. But to drink them at, they'll self-destruct, right? Drink them at 45, 55 degrees. You got a lot more flavor out of it. Little hint of just a chocolate fudge syrup.
I didn't get that all that much. I got obviously more peanut butter right up front.
Didn't want it, but for us to call it s'mores, you got to have, I figured people would be like, well, it's not s'mores if you don't put chocolate in there.
Yeah.
You want a little bit of chocolate in there. And then, you still have the caramel coconut
It's
cookie.
so
That's
good. I enjoyed I had 2 of them. I gave 1 to Steve, 1 to Pete.
Thank you.
Enjoyed those. And what is it? That's a 9%er?
Caramel coconut cookie?
I thought it was up there.
It's up there.
Yeah, it's up there.
That's a nightcap.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
a nightcap.
Well, that's what I did. I used it as a nightcap over the summer. I was by the fire pit outside, and I'm like pouring a nice heavy stout. It's delicious.
Oh no, it's light. It's only 12.9.
Oh, that's right. It's only 12.9. Yeah,
That's right.
yeah, it was delicious.
And then with this variant, we threw in peanut butter powder. Peanut butter s'mores. We had actually polled on Instagram, what would you want added to s'mores? With the choices like almonds, coconut, peanut butter, and it was like
a fair answer.
75% peanut butter.
Yeah.
As you crack it open, should get peanut butter right in the nose.
Yep.
As the marshmallow comes through, I think the impression of the marshmallow will turn peanut butter, which would be a nuttiness, more into like a Reese's Pieces peanut butter cup.
Okay.
It would otherwise be peanut butter powder. Would otherwise be just straight up like crushed nuts. So if you're getting some sweetness to it and some like Reese's peanut butter cup, that's kind of the marshmallow working with the peanut butter.
Cool.
And then you get a little bit of the cinnamon.
Yeah, I didn't catch as much cinnamon on again first kind of sip or anything like that. It was a lot of peanut butter, but as I went through it and had more of it, like I said, the IPA base to me is what really threw me off, because I'm like, wow, this is an IPA, but yet there's that peanut butter, forward flavor. I could get into that because it drank light. It didn't drank heavy, like you would picture a peanut butter stout or a peanut butter porter or something like that.
So we canned this 3 days ago, and yeah, I was a little nervous about, sometimes some of these beers can be overly spiced, and with peanut butter and marshmallow, I didn't want to ruin it with the cinnamon. But listen, we called it s'mores, so I wanted to throw some in there. So I'm glad that you didn't get a lot of cinnamon, but I wanted it to at least be there just for the.
I feel it on the tongue. Absolutely, I feel it on the tongue as I went through, about halfway through. So it was there. Maybe I didn't let it breathe or let it warm up. I had it literally right out of the freezer, not freezer, fridge. So maybe I didn't get as much of that. But I'm sure that you would. The freezer, yes, I froze it, and and then I basically right out of the fridge right into the glass to drink. So it was.
The one thing I take to heart, which is tough, is really trying to recreate those flavors. Is figuring out what the right balance is, because everyone's tastes are different, and I think. Coconut's a good example. Marshmallow is another good example too, because one thing I realized is everybody has a different impression of what marshmallow should be.
Okay. Yeah.
When you think about marshmallow is just vanilla, but it's an experience, right? Because it's soft and it's fluffy, and it's how do you recreate that when you're drinking something when a marshmallow wasn't intended to be drunk?
Yeah.
Right.
True.
So that's the most difficult thing. So when I was trying to kind of create that, I told you, like in the kitchen, some people. Like, oh, this tastes like marshmallow. Some people, this isn't marshmallow to me. This tastes like vanilla. And it's tough to balance. Everybody has a different impression. That's another great example. Some people, and so I did a tasting last night of 20 people at a hospital, just like a charity thing. And you'll always get somebody that says there's too much coconut. Same people will say, I don't get any coconut.
Yep.
Everyone's palates are different.
Yeah, that's weird.
It's a tough thing when you're really dialing in the flavors so exact now.
Is it a matter of how they served it, or is it a matter of where it is when it comes off the line in the can in the order? Like the earlier cans get less flavor, or the later cans get more coconut? How does that work?
I personally think it's a combination of how you're drinking it in terms of, is it cold, is it warm? Because I definitely believe colder, a lot of those flavors don't come through. And I think it's the palate. I think it's what your palate detects.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah. So it's
also be what type of glassware too, which could impact how it's hitting your palate, right?
Absolutely. Your glassware, plastic cup is real right? Pandemic. There
I
you
drink
go.
it at my Barrage, Steve from Barrage. Glass where he intended most of his beers to be drank out of a little bit of it. Oh, he's got the two villains.
I'm also doing the two villains one.
Oh,
you guys are too fancy for me. Two villains. Thanks very much for this year. That was a great show. We had fun with those guys up in Nyack.
Yep.
I've wanted to try their beer for a while. Yeah, since they.
And you know what?
Good stuff.
Since we've had them on the show, they've done some crazy collabs with people. I don't know if you guys have been watching, but they've done some really. They went out to California and did something with someone out west. I forget who it was. I have to go back in the post and look. But they collabed with Non Sequitur. I think that was honestly a connection through our show. I really think that they both saw each other on our show and were like, let's hang out with those dudes. So it's kind of cool. That's what we're all about, right? Connecting. We're people meeting people. That's what we're all about. No? Too much? Too much?
A little bit.
All right. I'll pull it back a little bit.
Let it loose.
Yeah, all right. Then, because I'm already drunk, so I might as well.
Paul said so let it loose.
It's a season finale. I might as well just let it all fly, right? I mean, really, honestly, they both of those guys, multiple people, great beer, great show, and why not? Those collabs just make a lot of sense. And the evolution of a brewery like Two Villains in Nyack, which was tiny place, only has room to expand. And in this pandemic, there was room to do those things. There was a great need for people to get beer delivered and distribution. I was going to say distributors. But yeah, it's just crazy. So I'm sure as much as the pandemic affected that, in-house tasting room cash flow, I'm sure there was a very large influx in distribution. Paul, you can attest to that, right? I mean, between what you're sending across the states, thank God the government let us kind of just throw the beer everywhere we could, right?
And Steve started to ask, and that was one of the biggest things. It was like, that saved us in March, April when we were supposed to close. It was like, what are we going to do? And then they let you deliver to people's homes locally that you couldn't do before. That was a huge thing for us.
They actually, New York State just upped it again. So now it's all the way through January. You guys are going to be able to, they have to.
Yeah. Yeah, otherwise, I mean, not only the restaurant business is going to go, but the brewing industry is going to go very quickly if they can't distribute the way they're letting them do it. And honestly, Paul, what was the one thing that they've done during the pandemic that you expect them to leave permanently?
I hope the idea of dining outdoors, the restrictions for why you can't just have a beer outside like you can do in other countries, I hope they've understood. What's the big deal?
Right.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, have we melted down as a society because of it? No.
Yes. Right. Exactly. I hope they would lax on that. How many times has anybody gone on a trip to a beach or somewhere and come back and be like, why can't we just drink outside? How ridiculous is that rule? Back from Prohibition or whatever it is. I'm hoping they'll lax on that. One funny thing I tell a lot of people is in terms of talking about shifts in cultures is the whole concept of curbside pickup is something that 8 months ago was never a concept. So for example, like I used to on occasion go to Other Half, right, to pick up beer. Can I mention? And so I would go.
Of course you can mention them.
Okay. So I would go and then I got to look for parking and I got to park and I got to walk around.
7 blocks away.
And then I pull up and I pop my trunk now. And had I 8 months ago called them and said, "Can you go up to my car and shop the?" They'd be like, "What are you, an idiot?" Now it's part
That's
of it.
Curbside is definitely here to stay.
Yes, 8 months ago they'd think I'd be crazy. But how great is curbside pickup? It would have never come, been put together in that way.
For many different elements of from regular department stores to supermarkets. I mean, I saw my personal Stop and Shop, not to get up too much off topic, but my personal Stop and Shop renovated their entire customer service area to become mostly a curbside pickup. So they have cameras out on the parking spots. They have refrigerators to keep the cold elements cold until people show up. They have people walking through the aisles with bags of groceries and they're fulfilling orders. Like, this is how they're keeping staff on, and on top of it, still doing their work while keeping everybody safe.
We do curbside pickup should be something that would continue forever. It's such a great convenience.
Yeah.
That would have never come, society would have never been there if they weren't forced to.
I think it's
all we could do is hope.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah. I mean, when the economy starts doing great, they'll start pulling back again or taxing the shit out of it. But still, at least the model has been set and the precedent has been set in order to do this safely and accurately.
Yep.
Paul, have you guys been taking? Is it right now mostly call ahead? Are you doing online orders through a website? How are you guys processing those curbside pickups?
So ever since we were able to open in June, for us, all the curbsides, all the deliveries completely disappeared, more or less. We went right back into tasting room mode.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's basically people coming right to the inside, the door, the window. Well, you have the window still, right?
No, now you can come in.
Okay.
We have a stand inside. Garage door opens because it's cold. People come inside. You're able to sit inside. And I'm being a little too maybe pessimistic on the idea. We do quite a bit of deliveries, but it wasn't like it was before where the deliveries we were doing was the volume of people coming in on a Saturday night. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
We had a lot of deliveries. Now it's not like that at all. I mean, we'll have one driver come, a couple of days a week now.
Oh, wow.
But it used to be all the bartenders were grabbing a license because they have to be licensed and getting into cars and just delivering.
Yeah.
Now it's more operating tasting room, and with inside and outside, we'll have quite a crowd.
Yeah, and we're really just starting to get into the cold months. Is that going to be the norm right now, as far as you can see, people coming inside? What's your percentage of capacity at this point? And, what are the stipulations of people sitting for any length of time?
We're at 50% capacity, which for us inside is 50 people.
That's good. Yeah.
Okay. And then outside, we have 50 people that we can sit outside.
That's awesome.
The question is, do people want to sit outside?
Yeah.
Yeah, heaters. Do you have something going on out there?
We have heaters at every table. We have a fire pit. We got all this lights and all this stuff. Our hope was if we make outside a winter wonderland, people will come on the snow, because if there's a lockdown, where else are you going to go? You can't go inside a restaurant.
Yep.
And if you sit on a sidewalk, there's 2 tables. Here we have a whole kind of seating area. That's the idea, but we'll see.
Yeah, we were talking earlier, like the people out in Colorado, they don't wait around for summer to come back. They're right outside. They're sitting in their little areas. They got the Adirondack chairs around the campfire. They're hardened people. They got real balls and thick blood.
Right.
And marijuana's legal there.
And
good point. So they don't feel
there's that.
anything. Which, by the way, could be coming through soon. Who knows? Who knows?
God, I fucking hope so.
Yeah, I mean, and Pete will not be smoking the weed even if it does.
No.
But he just wants the tax revenue.
No, the tax revenue to keep my fucking property taxes low.
There you go.
Please.
Well, listen, there's so many people that should share that view, honestly, because there's no precedent set up on these states that have legalized, a.k.a. New Jersey, by the way, which won't see the benefits of that for a few years. But still, it's not like you're hearing Colorado's burning because they legalized marijuana years ago.
It's just because of the wildfires.
Right. It's just people doing gender reveals in the woods, like a pack of dicks. But yeah, I mean, you hear certain things, but there's not like the overwhelming amount of people violating, certain restrictions that are set in place. It's just like drinking. If we can get on the same mindset of marijuana as the same thing as drinking, I think that you can see a huge tax increase. I mean, look at all the construction that's going out in Denver. If you've been to Denver in the last few years, they are just building and building and building and building. I wonder why. The tax breaks, the amount of companies that are moving out there because they can build and save money. It brings in business. It brings in tourism. It brings in everything. And it's just a matter of regulating it to a point and taxation. And so with that, then that opens up the whole world for even breweries to use, marijuana-based CBD, THC-based stuff in their brews. Paul, have you ever thought about that? If it ever becomes legal, something you would interject into some of these crazy adjunct-style brews?
I considered it because, CBD coffee is sold.
Yes. Yeah, it is.
And people ask, have you ever thought about putting that into the beer? And I thought about it. I don't know. Never really considered it too much.
Are you looking to do any barrel age stuff?
We have barrels. We have barrels.
Nice.
Here goes.
Take a look. Show us the barrels.
The barrel. It's really ridiculous. The barrels we have very small. We got three small barrels, but you got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
We have a Jameson, a tequila, and a Four Roses.
Ooh.
Okay.
So we did do a barrel age. We did a Four Roses tiramisu in April. We did a Jameson Cherry Amaretto Stout last year, which is great.
That sounds delicious.
Yeah, that was one of the more popular ones. The tequila, we pulled out, but we kegged it and never actually did anything with it quite yet.
Yeah, Paul, I never pull out, just so you know.
It's a lot of work into those barrels. You're right.
I hope your wife's listening.
Yeah, she came down before. She's like, "You're being loud." I'm like, "I'll be loud if I want. I'm drunk. Leave me alone."
I pay the bills.
I pay the bill. No, she pays the bills, to be honest, at this point. I can't really say all that much.
I will find with those barrels, the best thing to do is to just not adjunct them, just to pull the beer and to get the barrel flavor. And so we did like a Four Roses Stout. That was great. Once you start putting the maple and all that stuff and the barrel gets lost.
Yep.
Might as well not. Well, why? Just might as well not barrel age it and put all the flavors in or whatever.
And do you have a barrel broker, or are you just starting with the 3 and thinking about expanding that? What's the future look for the barrel program?
The limitation is space. Yeah, we just one at a time. We don't have the space. And I'll be honest, and I don't know if anyone's, I've tried to push, we're known for our adjuncts and stuff. And I tried to push, we got a barrel aged stout coming out to distributors. And like, well, we'd rather have the maple, It's people apparently
you get pigeonholed.
And I won't make beer just for that reason. But it's just like, okay, well then I'm going to make the barrel-aged stout and it's going to stay in the tasting room. But I'm just saying what I'm hearing. And it's interesting. It's like, well, what I'm hearing is people don't put a premium on barrel aging anymore. It's just a shame because I love that. I love the barrel. I would rather, I like the oak and trying to understand, some types of bourbons, you get vanilla notes out of it and that would come through the taste. But apparently, this is what I'm hearing. So that's.
There was something.
Meanwhile, Bourbon County just released their stuff and it all sold out.
Well, they're known for and they've been, and getting back to actually Bourbon County used to be so thick and viscous back in 2011 and 12. Even I had a tough time getting through that stuff. I wish I could have, if anybody has an old, like 2000, I guess pre-2010 Bourbon County.
A year ago, I drank a 2009.
Really?
Yeah, and it was crazy.
Yeah. So different, right? Was it different or is it my perception?
Yes. Yeah, it was a little oxidized, but, it still had a lot of flavors, and you're correct. It was very heavy on the tongue.
Have you had any other beers this year that you think might have been oxidized? Maybe more than a little?
Yes, the Wort with Mike, Pete, and Steve from
did one that was really it's from our friends Hopsters that did such a great job.
Friends is being generous. Friends.
Well, associates
might be generous.
Yeah, associates. People that brew beer that should have known better.
Yeah,
I'm starting to get too drunk, so I don't want to go too far.
I've had this debate, and maybe I'm going too far. And please just change. But
there's no too far with us unless it has to do with race, creed, or religion. So we're good.
There you go.
Yeah.
Pretty much it.
Or sexual orientation.
Yeah, well, that's true. Yeah, that's true.
There you go. Have the beers changed, or has the people's tastes changed?
Yes.
Yes. And that's I struggle with that with myself. Is it, and getting to the question about Bourbon County, I'd love to try one again, is has my palate adjusted, and so I'm asking for more, or you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or you think about I don't want to name names, but there are some beers out there.
Oh, please.
It's not what it used to be. And is it, or is it that your taste has evolved? That's something that I've just struggled with.
Well, there's so many potentials out there nowadays, and there's so many options, and there's so many differences that it's tough because you've tasted so many different varieties of the same thing that you're not even quite. You probably. I'm thinking the taste.
How many breweries are doing a bourbon barrel aged stout?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So if that if that was your first, now how many have you had since? How many have you had this year?
Yeah.
That color your judgments based on
And how much do you remember that and can honestly speak or write or review that? I mean, it's one thing if you're doing a review in the moment, and I hate the reviews because of what we talked about before. Everyone's tastes are going to be different on the same exact beer. So how do you know what is true and what is not? So all you can do is say, okay, here are the beers I like, and this is kind of where my palate is. If you're in that range, here's what else you'll like, exterior from that. It makes a lot of sense for people to kind of follow that course as opposed to just going, here's this beer and here's what I think of it. Like, all right, well, here's a bunch of beers that I like. If you like any of those, maybe you should try the other ones that you haven't had and see where your palate ends up.
Yeah. I mean, so I don't know, I think I know my palate. And then one summer I went to Disney World.
And you had Kona Big Wave, and it was like, yes.
No, because, and I'll be honest.
And that's what happened to me, just so you know. That's why I said. I was like, yes, Big Wave's the best. And I'm drunk at Disney World.
We always have the debate about some New England style beers if they're not the same as they used to be, right?
Okay.
So I went to Disney World because my mother planned this trip for the whole family, myself, my sister, my kids, my sister's kids. We went, I went, and we go down.
Are you telling my life story? What are you doing, Paul?
Sorry.
Same exact thing happened to me. Go ahead, keep going.
You're limited. Okay. I was forced to drink IPAs that were not New England style IPAs. And I said, all right, let me drink these. I came back and I had one regular New England IPA. And I'm like, oh, this is so soft. All of a sudden, which all I'm saying is my palate had reverted back because I was forced to drink more of the West Coast piney IPAs for the first time. I second guessed my palate.
What were you drinking down there?
A lot of High Life.
Ah, all right. There's nothing wrong with Cigar City. Good stuff.
Nothing wrong with it. But it's
bold.
It's zesty. It's citrus. It's piney.
Mm-hmm.
It's thin. It's clear. Not thin.
Yes.
It's salty. It's clear.
Yeah.
It's all I drink down there. So I came back and I had one local beer that I used to be like, oh, they used to be good. Now I'm like, oh, this is so soft all of a sudden. First time I second guessed my palate.
I went down to Fort Myers, and I had Fort Myers Brewing Company. They had a hazy. It's not the hazy that we have up here either, so they can call it New England. They can call it whatever they want.
Well, there's alligator piss in it. So,
right. This
when you brew it with swamp water,
they have centrifuges. They'll be able to filter that well.
Oh,
but no, not that it was bad. It was good, and you're right. It changed my view of what their thought of a New England IPA is versus what my thought of a New England IPA is. I want that, really heavy, can't see through the glass kind of IPA. And down there, their double IPA or hazy IPA or double dry hop IPA is clear. Everything's clear down there. So it's just a whole different scene. And that's, again, why we kind of reach out to people all over the country with this show, is try to see what their thought process is with those same styles that we're all accustomed to the name and what we associate to it.
Now, Paul, when you brew something, and this was my thought process, I was brewing something to my palate. If I liked it, then I was going to brew it. And yeah, we did, other stuff that, people asked us to do. But a majority of the beers that we had brewed were because I wanted to, because I liked the flavor. And at the end of the day, however it came out, I would tweak it to what I thought it should be like. You do the same thing, or, are you listening to customers? Or
I do the same thing, but I've learned I have to be a little flexible.
Yeah.
What's the style that you don't enjoy brewing, but is there?
No,
so you said going out of the pandemic, what's going to be that next big that next big style. What's the style that you don't want to survive the pandemic?
Wait, what's the style I don't want to survive the pandemic?
Yeah. Next summer, when things are back to normal, what do you not want to be a part of that normal?
What beer style do I not want to be part of the normal?
He says pastry stout. I'm hanging up in my mouth.
Well, I don't think there's any brew style that I wouldn't want to see brewed again. I'll tell you one that I think that should come back is a black IPA.
Yeah.
I miss black IPAs.
Don't miss them up here, buddy.
Music to Mike's ears.
There are a few breweries.
Whoa. I'm going to, Paul, right
There are
now.
a few out there that have been doing them again.
I'm going to be shipping you beer immediately. Immediately tomorrow.
Is it Eleanor?
It is Eleanor. I'm going to send you a local brewery who I've now, by the way, drank an entire case of.
Yeah.
It's a black
really?
IPA. Oh, yeah. Dude, I'm obsessed.
God, no, thank you.
It's so good. Oh my God, Paul. This to me will knock your socks off. That is one of my favorite beers to date, outside of some of the early beers I've drank, and it is the black IPA of black IPAs. No, I tried Blue Point's Toxic Sludge. They brought it back as like this, retro beer style that they did originally, because like you said, it's not something that you see all that often anymore. And Dubco brews it bi-yearly. And so when it comes out, I make sure I get enough of it. I have at least, I'm going to say 2 4-packs. I'm going to send you up a few of them for being on the show today, because I don't have much. I'm going to
can art is awesome.
The can art's great.
That's what I'll say about it.
It's a play on Eleanor from 60s, Gone in 60 Seconds.
Gone in 60 Seconds.
But it's so good.
It's right, because the bitterness, it's all, we're talking about the West Coast IPAs. Let's bring bitter back. We got to bring bitter back. That's the one thing. And you know what? Do you remember the Beanery?
Yeah.
You guys remember the Beanery?
Yeah, I remember.
Whatever happened to that? The Beanery was from Vermont, and they were, maybe this is going too far, but people it was an IPA that was a little bit bitter. It was a coffee. They did coffee IPAs. They did a coffee black IPA.
Nice.
They came around on tap, and they just disappeared when things shifted from West Coast to East Coast IPAs. A lot of those guys disappeared, right?
Yep.
One of the best black IPAs I ever had was Firestone Walker's Wookie Jack.
Oh, I remember Wookie.
Man,
one of my favorites.
That thing was.
Yes.
Yep. It was awesome.
It was one of those things where, like, black IPAs embodies a lot of the things that I like. I like a little bit of the bitterness, I like the pininess, and I like roasty. And to me, that's like a combination of all the things I enjoy out of my individual beers.
Absolutely.
I'm going to send you Eleanor. I'm going to send you 2 cans of Eleanor and some of the swag from the Wort that we usually send out. I'll ship it probably in the next 48 hours when I have the time, and you'll enjoy the shit out of this.
So excited!
I'm so excited to send you this.
I feel bad that I didn't. I feel bad for you that I really, really didn't like it.
I'm
just going to chalk it up to another style that I'm just not sophisticated enough to appreciate.
No, I'm not sophisticated.
I did not like it at all.
But if you like black IPAs,
I'm sure
this is like the epitome to me of black IPAs.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah.
Quick shout out to Chris at Dubco. He's going to be on the.
I was excited to see double and triple rainbow in cans. I got to pick those up.
I have those. They're in my fridge.
Triple rainbow. Yep.
Great doubles and triples.
I don't think I've had the
Belgian
triple
styles.
one. The double rainbow is pretty great.
The whole idea of what they're trying to do, and same thing with you, Paul. The I guess the portfolio that you present to the public is really important. Do you make a conscious effort to really kind of diversify that as you go through each season? Do you season out your beers? Do you think of it as like a bi-yearly, bi-quarterly kind of concept? How are you rotating what's going on the taps?
Week to week, which is I think becoming a problem. Fusion, because it's more like Steve's point is more on a whim. Like I want to make this, and let me try to make it, and then I expect a distributor to say, I'm making this beer, and 2 days before, can you take it? I've learned to try to make it more seasonal and try to kind of plan a little bit better.
Is it
and then there are
scheduling
things
difficult?
because it's not what I want to do. Like I just want to be creative with it, and then you gotta like box it up, you know.
But you got to make money, so you got to play that game, right? I mean,
you gotta make it a business.
Yeah.
there are things that are seasonal. The fruity stuff, the coconuts for the summer.
Sure.
Now the stouts, the winter warmers, a little more spice. There is some seasonality to it, but it's not like we're gonna have our, summer ale in the summer and winter ale in the winter. It's a little bit more.
Do you guys produce a barley wine?
We did one barley wine. It was a collaboration with Voracious Brewing we did two, sorry. The last one was a collaboration with Voracious Brewing. Put it in port barrels with figs, and we called it figgy pudding.
Ooh.
Nice.
Sounds interesting.
That's a style that I'm seeing less of that breweries are doing.
I agree. Should be a lot more barley wines.
Especially now.
There is so much you can do with that base. It's so rich.
Yep.
Caramel. I thought about like a rum raisin, kind of going with that, or caramel. There's a lot you can do with the barley wine base.
Yep. Oh, definitely.
But
yeah, it's another style that a lot of brewers. You know what it is, because one, it's intensive. It's usually the brew day is a long brew day to do a barley wine if you're doing it correctly. A lot of sugars, a lot of fermentation. You're aging it for a little while. So it's a little labor intensive, and a lot of guys don't have the tank space to let a beer sit for a few months.
Right. Or in their schedule to actually do that.
Well, that's it.
Yeah.
I mean, our barley wine, the last one we did, I think we boiled for 3 hours, and it sat in the tank for 2 months.
Wow.
I'm right now simulcasting the show from the beer narrator. Quick shout out to the beer narrator.
But we all know I'm not really Santa.
No, he's not Santa. So beer narrator does a really great craft beer trivia show, back and forth with him over the last few years. And we promote him and he promotes us, and it's one of those relationships, networking, that we'll say, over the last few years. So thanks, big shout out to the beer narrator on Instagram, doing his live quiz show tonight.
What's the $64,000 question?
He does a lot of research throughout the week to find out his 10 questions. And by the way, VintageBeerClubShirt.com is a sponsor of our show, who was a sponsor of his show to begin with. And all I did was reach out to them, and they were like, yeah, you're friends with Scott? Yeah, absolutely. We can get you guys suited up. So thanks to the beer narrator for bringing VintageBeerClubShirt.com to the show. I'll give him that. I didn't mean to bring the whole show to a screeching halt. That's my bad.
Well, here we are, Mike.
Again.
Good fucking job.
Yeah, I just pull the e-brake every single time. So much going on in my little control room here.
What's the Yankee Candle flavor of the week there, Mike?
Nothing. It's just still the coconut. Still the coconut bay. And it will always be the coconut bay. It's just part of the motif down here in the O'Toole.
The ambiance.
Yeah.
It's the ambiance.
You know what?
With the Bobby Bonilla pick in the back.
No, that's Pedro, whatever.
Hamilton. Right.
Right. No, I would basically turn on that candle when I'm drinking and sipping on a nice caramel coconut cookie. That's for damn sure.
And have you tried the tiramisu? What do you think?
So that's what I wanted to get to, because we've already kind of run down the peanut butter s'mores, and the tiramisu I'm enjoying immensely, especially at the richness and thickness, because this will be the last beer I drink of tonight. That's for damn sure. And give us a little breakdown about this, because this is a lot of flavor in a glass. And I know, we've touched on this a little bit throughout the night, but I want to get the full breakdown.
So I want to try to pour it myself. We have it on tap here. So tiramisu, again, getting to, I did a lot of research on that because I wanted to figure out how do you really recreate tiramisu flavor? And I'll leave it up to you. I may not have gotten it. We'll see. I mean, again, it's all these beers are an ongoing progress. If there's something I missed, well, we'll try it for the next batch. But I went and tried and spoke to a lot of bakers, and to recreate tiramisu, it's more than just coffee and chocolate. There is coconut that goes in tiramisu to create an impression of rum.
Yes.
There's pecan that goes in tiramisu to give a nuttiness to it. There is caramelized sugar that goes in to create the breadiness of like the ladyfinger cookies. So I added all of that, and that should come through. I haven't tried this batch recently, so you should get a little bit of coconut, a little bit of nuttiness. You should get the cold brew coffee that we used from Coffee Labs.
Yep.
You should get chocolate fudge. You should get chocolate from the malts. You should get roast from the roasted barley.
When did you add the coffee, Paul?
For us, always at the end. Always.
And to boil or straight into fermenter?
Straight into fermenter.
Cool.
I'm getting all those. I mean, I get the coconut for sure. A
You
lot
get
of
a funny sweetness.
the roastiness.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. I was gonna say I get a lot of the roastiness of that barley. It's just one of those. It's just so much flavor packed in, and it's one of those things that, yeah, it's a nightcap. I don't know if I could drink 4 of these in a row, but to have one throughout the day, as to kind of wrap it up and enjoy like a nice Milano cookie with it would be delicious.
There you go.
Yeah.
I should have brought my Milanos down with me down into the basement because it would be a perfect kind of balance to that. I enjoy pairing my pastries with my desserts. When we went to, oh no, you didn't go. This was the time I went with my wife. We went to Trillium and I did the coconut porter that they had, and I paired it up with a Tres Leches cake. Oh my God.
Oh,
nothing more delicious than having a nice dessert with a really nice flavorful stout.
Yep.
It's delicious.
Sounds awesome.
The coffee, what style of coffee were you using?
It was just a dark roast.
Dark roast?
Yeah, it's just dark roast, yeah.
And it's local guys by you?
They're from Terrytown. They're called Coffee Labs. Yep.
Cool.
Yep. Quick shout out to Terrytown. It's where my earliest memory of a child was. My dad's, I think it was an 82 Nova.
First time seeing a child?
Nope, not at all.
That's oddly specific.
Well, it is.
First time taking candy from the rape van.
No, not that. My dad broke down just over the Tappan Zee in Tarrytown, and
we were going on. Coyotes got you
yes.
and dragged you into the bushes,
and that's how I became the scruffy man I am today.
There
No,
you go.
I mean, I remember being stuck in the car.
van.
No, it's not a rape van. Though
That time of the night, Peter.
I did absolutely block out some of those memories, but I remember sitting in the hot car waiting for a tow truck to come get me. And we ended up not going on that family vacation that weekend. That was
What kind of candy did the tow truck driver have?
He had s'mores, lots of s'mores.
Was it a white van or a dog van?
I didn't look like a big girl. You look like a big girl. And I did not put the lotion in the basket. I promise.
God.
He was into butterflies though, which was interesting. Very interesting. But
we were off the rails.
No, but that's exactly what had happened. I remember as soon as I hear Tarrytown, I think of broken down car that ruined my family vacation every single time. But and not to spoil Tarrytown for everybody. Yeah.
I think of I went to a family dinner at the Ruth's Chris in Tarrytown.
Oh, okay.
That's much less creepy.
There was a Ruth's Chris in Tarrytown.
Yeah.
I drove past Terrytown like 5 miles away. That's all I got.
Paul, when you go out to venture to a new brewery, what are the local breweries that you frequent? Do you go into some of the other ones other than yours that appear on because you're not that far from Connecticut, right? Half hour, pretty much. You're right in the heart of Connecticut in a way.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, I've been a hermit because of the
yeah.
But
haven't we all?
Yeah.
Pre-pandemic, Wolf and Warrior Brewing, right in White Plains, making good stuff, and they're actually venturing out into maybe not the box, but I'd see them as doing that. Belgian strong ales. They made a great Belgian strong ale.
Oh,
they made a Belgian quad.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's
awesome. The last time I visited them, that was great. Yes, I would go up to Connecticut, and when I did, I think I went once recently in May. Where did I go? No, I went to 12%, where they're where we brew our beer.
Mm-hmm.
But that's that's one new, and they just opened pretty much before the pandemic.
Yeah, the tasting room.
12%. Do they have your beer on tap there in the tasting room?
They do on occasion. I think they do now. Now we have a couple sours out.
Oh, cool.
They have a lot of other brewers on tap as well.
Tell me about the sours. I'm interested because I like sours.
I should have brought you. Well, we didn't
Nah,
have
it's
cans. It's the latest ones is called Fruit Machine. It's a rotational sour. The last one was mango, coconut, and tangerine.
Ooh.
Heavily fruited, like what the kids want.
Yeah.
Real
Whoa.
juicy. Yeah.
It is delicious. I one of the things that I really got into in the last.
Drinking, right? Low ABV, crush it. I'm sorry.
That's it. No, you're right.
What? How are you souring?
It's a kettle sour. It's just
okay.
Right. It's just what I don't know what yeast we used for the last one, but purging the tank of oxygen, CO2, getting it to 3.5, whatever pH we want, and then just boiling and then just throwing in all the fruits.
Cool.
Yep.
Sounds so simple. You make it sound so simple, Paul.
Yeah, throwing fruits.
Like you do this, do that.
Throw the fruits in.
Fruit, a little orange here and there.
Are you using fresh fruit? Are you using purees? What are you using?
Purees usually from Oregon.
Oregon fruits.
Yep.
Fruit.
Is that really the norm? Is that the norm across the country? Is Oregon fruit?
A lot of people use Oregon fruit. There are a few other ones out there, but they're like the biggest. They have the most inventory usually. It's expensive to ship. Usually if you do a full pallet, it's cheaper, but if you just do a few boxes, you get it across the states, it's quite expensive.
By the way, Wolf and Warrior on 195A East Post Road in White Plains, New York is saying, what's up? Superfly Brewery with a tap room. Enough said. I like it. I like enough said.
I'm getting drunk texts on my work phone.
Are you?
Legit.
From who? From Instagram?
I don't know. 110, like 1:10, 6 milligram, 555, 6 milligram, 6 p.m., 6 milligram, or I don't know, or these are dosing instructions.
Yep, pretty much. You pretty much
926 milligram that I just got.
I don't think any of that has anything to do with the show, so.
No. It's on the work phone.
Oh, fair enough. But Wolf and Warrior actually.
That's the amount of crack you take.
I am such a noob. Are they referring to Vicodin? Is that pills? That's
no
pills,
idea.
right?
Nah, it sounds like some sort of dosage for medicine. I don't know about pills. Wolf and Warrior were featured on News 4 New York as small shops are getting customers for the holiday season. So this holiday season, Paul, coming up, what's the big push here? What are we trying to advertise for the customer base in the craft beer world in around your area?
Of the beers that we're making, or just generally speaking?
Yeah, things that are coming out. Are you doing holiday packs? So is there anything coming out that's, specific to the holiday season?
I mean, the tiramisu. These are the holiday beer. Tiramisu for us is going to be our holiday beer. It is the Christmas cake sort of stout. That's the one that we chose for this year. Peanut butter s'mores. S'mores was like our fall beer, and then people wanted peanut butter for the holidays. So even though it's not so Christmas forward, we were trying to be different. We wanted not. We realized spice in beers people don't like. People are kind of steering away from. So peanut butter s'mores, tiramisu. Yeah, I don't know if you. We've learned from last year that spice. People are steering away from spice in beers. We try to go more sweeter.
Yeah,
unless it's pumpkin and you got a freaking sugar rim on it.
After pumpkin, what I've learned, you don't want anymore.
Yeah.
One of the things I do not like in my beers is allspice. The allspice is one of the things I like to keep out of my beers. It's too much of the dry, hard spice flavor. Unless it's used in very subtle ways to enhance another flavor, it's not worth its weight as a forward flavor in the beer.
Almost
pumpkin
like
beers are one of those.
flakes.
Pumpkin is one of those trends I would love her to
go away.
Style.
There's one post-pandemic that we can get rid of. Pumpkin beers.
It won't though. It'll never go away.
Know.
Fuck no.
But I still like a good Oktoberfest. Those things. Paul, have you ever done a
The
Oktoberfest?
more the fucking
anywhere?
merrier.
Yeah.
One for the first time this year,
Wow.
and it was very popular.
Traditional Marzen, or what did you do?
It was a traditional Marzen. We used a lot of biscuit malt, and we got a lot of compliments on it. People didn't believe we could lager. and
prove those.
You know, I mean,
wrong.
we've got ourselves before, but you know, we're known for. And I think that's something, you know, you guys are talking about rice lagers and alternative beers. And to your point of having to diversify to survive, I think it's something that we would really be interested in doing more of, more lagering.
Cool.
More
I
Helles.
agree. Oh,
Yes.
yes, a couple good Hells.
Lagers are underappreciated.
That would be a good style to say that would make an emergence. And one of the things that we talk to brewers about is, you know, a lot of brewers say, I want to see make lagers great again. You know, like that was one of the things that they always turn to. If you can create a good Pils and a good lager, then you got a good brewery.
Yeah. Well, so we don't know. We'll try to do that again, I guess, for January, you know, for the fall. Sorry, for the winter.
I'd be extremely interested to see what you guys have coming out in 2021. Everything that I've had from you and we've had from you so far has been awesome. From the big bold taste to the non-traditional double IPAs that you're putting out. I mean, fantastic things are happening from the brewery. So I want to thank you again very much for sending us the beer and, of course, being on the show tonight and spending the time with us. It's been phenomenal. And we will get up there. We're going to make another boys road trip, and you'll be one of the ones that we're going to stop in and come hang out, and we'll let you know when that's going to happen.
Anytime. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. I'm honored and flattered that you'd asked me to come on, and I really appreciate it. It was a great time.
Dude,
Thank
absolutely.
You so much.
Thank you.
Paul, give us the last big plug. Give us all the information people need to know to find the brewery, to get the information, social media contacts, all that stuff.
So Decadent Nails, we're in Mamaroneck, New York, right off 95. www.decadentnails.com is where you can find us, or on Instagram at Decadent Nails. And just look out for us online or on social media.
And lots of good stuff coming out. As we see the new holiday season beers are out there. Like I said, for me, to have one of these with a nice little cake or some cookies is a fantastic pairing for what we're going to go through for the next month and a half or so.
And you are correct, Paul. I let the cookie beer warm up a little bit, and it's amazing how the notes come out. And I've known that, but mine came right out of the fridge, and I started drinking it, and I'm like, oh, just let it sit, you fool. And yeah, what a difference. 10, 15 degrees makes.
It's unbelievable. Yeah, what a difference it would make to let it. Yeah, that's great.
Paul, thanks again, man, for coming on. Again, appreciate it. I'm going to send you up some black IPA. I promise.
Lee, this is so much fun. Thank you, guys.
Man. This is the one with Mike,
brother.
Pete, and Steve. GovsRadio.com. We want to thank everybody for an awesome year. 2020, as shitty as it was, we've had a great time. All our guests throughout the year and our sponsors, of course. Appreciate everything you guys have done for us. We'll be back in, let's say, early to mid-January, where we got some big stuff going on for 2021 planned, locked in, actually. And we're going to have some meetings over the course of the next few weeks to kind of determine our direction. And, man, this has been a hell of a ride for the last 3 years. And, again, Paul, thanks for joining us for our season finale here in 2020.
Thank you guys so much.
This is the word with Mike, Pete, and Steve.
Thank you, Paul. I appreciate it, man.
GovsRadio.com. Pete, some last words before we get out of here?
Forget to have your pet spayed or neutered.
Steven, what do we got for 2020?
Guess what? Don't be a dick to each other. We all got shit going on. Stop it. Just fucking.
Cut the shit.
Right?
Right.
And that's
cut the shit party, Mike.
Yes, that's going to be my
that's
new
the next
political
party when you run.
Yep.
Cut the shit.
Yep. I don't think I can ever run because of my my views of other things, but that is one hell of a stance to stay. The cut the shit party. Everyone just cut the shit and just get back down to being a human being. This is the word with Mike, Pete, and Steve.
Each other.
GovsRadio.com. Thanks everyone for joining us for season 3, 2020. We'll check you guys in 2021 in January. Check us out for all our replays, of course, on the Hopped Up Network and on iTunes and Spotify. And we out. Peace out.
Well, that's 2 hours of your life you're never getting back.
First off, it was 3 hours.
What the fuck? Honestly, how can you talk about beer for 3 hours?
It's beer. There's so many elements in it.
Where's mine? It's been 3 hours and I don't even get a single beer.
You don't get shit.
This is the Wort on GovsRadio. I hope